What's up, guys? Adel here with Web3 TV in collaboration with Traders Brawl, coming at you live. We are at the Cardano Summit Dubai 2023, day 2. And today I am with Glen from Empowa. How are you doing, Glen?
Good, and yourself?
Thank you very much. Very well. Thank you for being on the show. Tell us a little bit about what Empowa is doing here at the Cardano Summit.
Well, first thing is we are the official NFT of the summit. So we have provided an NFT, and part of that is we're trying to highlight the story of what we're doing, which is we're providing, supporting affordable housing finance in Africa. So it's really around how do we utilize Web3 technologies to fundamentally transform the housing market, when in emerging markets, more than 80% of the world has informal income.
True.
And therefore doesn't qualify for a mortgage.
True.
So how do we change that?
Right.
How do we fundamentally transform that? And that's what we're doing here. So not more than just being the official NFT and raising funding for housing, because that's part of what we're doing. This is, we're here to promote what we're doing in this transformation of the affordable housing market.
Great to really touch a place in my heart, because where I know parts of where I come from, there's lots of poverty and also lots of unbanked individuals. So walk me through how this works, because I'm really intrigued. How do you bank the unbanked?
Yep. So exactly what you say, the whole thing around it is if your income is informal, it means basically you're invisible to the financial market. So therefore a mortgage is a high risk instrument, which is why it doesn't happen. So our proof of concept we did in Mozambique, where there are 600 mortgages, 600 in a country of 30 million people.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean the numbers boggle the brain, but it's those kind of proportions are not unusual across Africa. So exactly as you say. So how do we take into account the informality of income? How do we find ways to do that? So we've really transformed it. So we look at the future instead of the past. We de-risk it by looking at rent to own as opposed to mortgage. So the transfer happens at the end of the process. So we de-risk it through that process. And then it's by recording the payments on the blockchain in a way that we can verify that to the investors. So we're providing that data back to the investors. So it's an alternative investment mechanism to provide this kind of finance, as well as providing, obviously transformational in terms of providing people who wouldn't have access to housing otherwise, to be able to do that, to the dignity of their own home.
Right. So people, let's say, who don't have, let's say, an income source, or like you said, they're invisible to the financial system. How do they get banked then? Because let's say they're getting paid in cash.
Yep.
But they don't have a bank account, so they're just doing everything in cash.
Correct.
So the banks will not accept paper. They don't have any paperwork to prove that they're getting money monthly and recurringly.
Exactly.
So how do you help bridge that gap?
So the first stage is to find a way for them to demonstrate that they can pay.
Okay.
So we support the local developer in terms of providing the tech to do that. So we provide the platform by which the local developer. So if you're an affordable housing developer in Mozambique, as you can imagine, if there are no mortgages, you don't have a huge market to buy your product because you can only sell it for cash. So the whole thing around that is we provide the tools that enable them to be able to record their payments that they're currently making. So generally speaking, somebody will be paying to live somewhere. Okay, so they're paying rent somewhere, or normally it's rent somewhere. And again, what happens is people tend to live according to their means. So, as you go up in the world, you like to live in a better place. It's human nature. So what happens is we look at those kinds of transactions to say, how can this person qualify to be able to move into this rent to own? And again, one of these things is around that. If you provide an affordable product at an affordable price, a quality product at an affordable price, people will, it's self-regulating in a way. You're not going to rent an apartment if you know you can't afford it. Right. And you're just going to get kicked out because just the cost of that, etc. So the mechanisms to do that, it's around how do we support those mechanisms, and how do we support the local providers to do that. Hence Empowa. It's about empowering the local providers to be able to do that, and providing the tech to verify all of those transactions that makes that visible to investors, in such a way that it attracts investment into the space.
I see. And do you do any negotiations on their behalf in terms of how much they're able to pay with banks? Any of that stuff? You don't touch the money side.
We provide the capital to the local developer, so to the local housing developer. So effectively, they provide the installment finance, if you like. So effectively, it's almost like debtor financing that they provide, that we provide to them in order for them to be able to lend that to their consumer. So they retain the ownership, or through a third party, the ownership is retained until such time as it's paid off. That reduces the risk of that, but it enables people who haven't got that proof of income to demonstrate through paying that they can actually do that. Part of the key part around that is informal income also tends to be intermittent. So, it's seasonal, or it's in the hustle economy, you're not working. It can change.
Freelancing.
Exactly. It can your income changes, it goes up, it goes down. That's the reality of life today.
Yes.
And yet the mortgage is based on 25th of the month. You get a salary. You have to pay a certain amount. That's not the world we live in today.
Right.
So how do we create that mechanism? And I mean, again, as you can imagine, that product was designed in a formal environment, in a formal economy, in a first world environment, in a first world economy, where everything works wonderfully. That does not work in the developing world. It's a completely different world that we live in. And that's the transformational aspect of what we're doing.
Really interesting stuff. So how can the audience, and this is a B2B service you provide, not B2C, I'm assuming.
Correct.
So for B2B customers out there, what's the best way they can reach out to Empowa and find out how to partner with you?
Our website, empowa.io, is the website. For people who are watching this, the best way to get involved is obviously to get the NFT, to get out there and to support that, get the process, get the whole, really gives you an example of how we're working together, how we're utilizing collaborative technologies to fundamentally transform the sector. Just to give an example, in Africa alone, there's a backlog of 50 million homes.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's in the youngest economy, the fastest growing population. So the backlog is just going to get bigger and bigger. So it's a massive opportunity. It's a massive problem, but it's a massive opportunity. So we're not doing this as a charity. This is not charity. This is around making it a business opportunity in order to attract capital to fundamentally address an issue that isn't being addressed by the traditional financial sector at this time.
How easy is it to get the Empowa NFT? Is it the Empowa NFT?
Yeah. So literally Cardano Summit. If you go onto the Cardano Summit after this event, it'll be available, or into the empowa.io website, empowa.io/summit. It can also be there.
And is it how much is it selling for? Or is it free?
That's a good question. You did indeed. That's a bloody good question. I think it. Good Lord.
Just make it free.
You heard
it. Just make it free. All right, done.
Go on to empower.io and we can find out the answer to that question.
After all, you're helping people out, or you're helping them with their finances.
Exactly.
It should be free. All right. Glenn, thank you so much for your time.
Not at all. Thank you.
This was actually really insightful from a perspective of what you just said, how the world has changed today, has transformed to this creator economy where you're not always getting a fixed income. It varies, it fluctuates, and that is the true reality we live in.
Absolutely, and it's been the reality for more than 80% of the world for decades, and yet we haven't taken that into account, and at last we can.
Right. Adaptation needs to take place, and we need to change the way we do things. Great stuff.
Fundamental. And technology, the underlying technology is part of that, because it enables us to think differently. It enables us to record transactions differently. It enables us to transfer value differently. So all of that. And for me, that's the exciting part of this tech. There's so much emphasis on, when moon and speculation, but actually the transformational aspect of this technology is what's really, really exciting.
Glenn, thank you so much for your time.
Not at all. Thanks
so
for your time.
Insightful. Thank you so much for watching. This is Web3 TV in collaboration with Traders Brawl. Thank you so much for staying with us, and we'll see you next time. Cheers!